In a quiet village nestled between the valleys of two great mountains lived a humble carpenter named Elias. He was not a man of great words or fame, but everyone knew him for two things: his skill with wood and his unwavering faith in God. Elias had a small workshop where he crafted furniture, mended broken tools, and sometimes carved toys for the village children. He lived simply, prayed deeply, and believed that God guided his every step. Many admired his faith, though some pitied him. To the logical mind, Elias seemed too reliant on the unseen, too trusting in a world where most trusted only what they could measure and control. One year, a severe drought struck the region. Crops failed, rivers dried up, and hunger began to whisper in the ears of once joyful villagers. Panic spread, merchants left, prices soared. People gathered in the square daily to debate, plan, and argue. But Elias, he continued his work and prayer. "Aren't you worried?" his neighbor Miriam asked one day, watching him carve a simple cross from a fallen tree branch. "Worried?" Elias looked up. "No, my God has never failed me. He who provides the tree also sends the rain." Miriam shook her head. "You need to be practical. Faith is good, but this is serious. People are dying." Elias smiled. "Faith isn't logical. It's supernatural." Word of Elias' serenity spread. Some thought he was a fool. Others began to visit his shop just to watch him work and ask him questions. One such visitor was Jude, the village blacksmith, a strong man who had always relied on muscle and reason. "Elias," he said one morning, "I hear you pray every night for rain, yet the sky remains as dry as bone. Doesn't that shake your belief?" Elias stopped hammering and looked at Jude with calm eyes. "I don't pray because the sky looks promising. I pray because my God is faithful." Jude frowned. "But what if you're wrong? What if there is no help coming?" "Then I will have trusted in vain," Elias said gently, "but I would rather die in hope than live in despair." That evening, Elias did something strange. He took a broken barrel, cleaned it thoroughly and placed it outside his home. Then he carved a small sign, "Rain Collector." Children giggled, adults scoffed. "What use is a rain collector in a drought?" they mocked. But every morning, Elias checked the empty barrel and whispered, "Soon." One particularly scorching afternoon, a traveler arrived in the village. He was weak, parched, and barely able to stand. Most people ignored him, thinking he was just another burden they couldn't carry. Elias found him collapsed near the old well and carried him into his shop. He gave him the last of his water, cleaned his wounds, and offered him bread. The man, whose name was Thomas, was a merchant from the north. He had once been wealthy but lost everything when a fire consumed his warehouse. He had traveled far, seeking a new beginning. "Why are you helping me?" Thomas asked. "You barely have anything yourself." Elias replied, "Because when I had nothing, God gave me everything." Thomas stayed with Elias for a few weeks, helping in the shop, resting and watching. He was intrigued by the carpenter's peace. Every night Elias prayed. Every morning he checked the rain barrel. "Do you really believe it will rain?" Thomas asked one evening. "Not just rain," Elias said. "I believe abundance is coming." Then came a day that changed everything. A government caravan arrived unexpectedly. They were engineers and water specialists, commissioned by the king to find remote villages to assist. News of the drought had reached the palace, and Elias Village had been chosen as a pilot location for a new well drilling technology. The leader of the expedition, Thomas's cousin, who had believed Thomas dead after the fire. Overjoyed by the reunion, the cousin ensured Elias's village was given priority. Within days, fresh water sprang from the earth. The villagers were speechless. Crops could grow again, livestock could be fed, life returned. But it didn't stop there. Thomas, inspired by Elias's faith and kindness, chose to stay. With help from his cousin and new funding from the palace, he opened a trade post in the village. Jobs were created, food was imported, a school and small clinic were built. People began to whisper, "This started with Elias." Even Jude, the blacksmith, came to Elias and said, "I mocked you, I doubted you, but now I see. Faith isn't logical, it's supernatural." Elias simply nodded. When you trust God, you're not gambling with hope. You're aligning with certainty, even if you can't see it yet. The rain finally came weeks later, and when it did, it came in torrents. The villagers danced, the children splashed, and Elias, he stood beside his once empty barrel, now overflowing, and whispered, "Thank you, Lord." Years passed. The village became a beacon of resilience and faith. People from nearby towns visited, not just for trade, but to hear the story of the carpenter who believed in the impossible. Elias never sought glory. He continued to work with his hands, pray with his heart, and love with his life. His shop became a place of quiet teaching. He never preached, yet he inspired more faith than any sermon could. And when he grew old and passed away peacefully in his sleep, the village erected a small monument outside his workshop. It was not grand, just a simple carving of a barrel with the words, "Faith isn't logical, it's supernatural." To this day, when storms pass and rain fills the valley, the villagers remember Elias. And somewhere in that peaceful village between two mountains, a child always asks, "Who was the man who believed before the rain came?" And an elder smiles, placing a hand over their heart, and says, "He was the one who taught us to believe in things unseen." Moral of the story: faith doesn't need logic to be valid. It needs trust, obedience, and endurance. The supernatural begins when natural hope ends. What appears foolish to the world might just be the very thing God uses to open the heavens. Let us reflect on the following questions. What is your rain barrel? Where do you need to prepare in faith? Are you waiting for the rain before you believe, or believing before the rain comes? Who needs your faith to survive their drought? If this story moved your heart, share it with someone going through a dry season. Be their Elias. Be the proof that faith is not logical, it's supernatural. Subscribe for more Christian stories, testimonies, and motivation. If this story blesses you, share it with someone who needs encouragement today.